the holidays here at Variant Edition. You know what that means?
Drunken Christmas parties?
Well, of course, but we've also got presents.
Ooh, I like presents.
Hi, and welcome to Variant Edition, your first weekly video podcast about comics and comic culture. I'm Mike.
And I'm Lewis.
And this is your very first time doing an intro with me, huh?
Yes, it is. It's my first time hosting. It's a big pleasure, big honor. So, I'm really excited. And, this is our big pre-Christmas episode. So, why don't we just get into it?
Exactly. So here comes Nick with the news.
Hi, I'm Nick, and this is the news for the week of Wednesday, December 20th, 2006. Perhaps the biggest thing to hit the web since blogs are social networking sites such as MySpace and Facebook. Well, we comic geeks now have a home of our own. ComicSpace launched 2 weeks ago and already has close to 7,000 members. Members are able to tag their profiles, and not surprisingly, creators, professional or not, already outnumber the fans. So if you want to have a space online that's not overrun with attention whores, give ComicSpace a look. Oh, and check us out. comicspace.com/Variant Edition. Yet another legend has been lost. Joseph Barbera, half of the world-famous Hanna-Barbera animation duo, died this weekend of natural causes. He was 95. During his long career, Barbera played a hand in creating some of the most memorable cartoon characters, including Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound, the Flintstones, the Jetsons, and Tom and Jerry. Somehow I doubt there is anybody watching this that didn't grow up watching some of his work, as will generations to come. It's comic book movie news time! First up, Sam Raimi will be producing an adaptation of The Shadow. Created in the 1930s, the pulp hero, The Shadow, has a long history with Hollywood, most recently the 1994 feature starring Alec Baldwin. While there were no announcements on who will direct, and Sam Raimi wrapping up Spider-Man and his future involvement with that franchise is in question, it's not a hard conclusion to make. Still, no release date has yet been set. According to Variety, the live-action Madman adaptation is moving forward. Based on the Mike Allred comic about an offbeat superhero, Madman will be produced by Robert Rodriguez and directed by George Wang. Still no release date. And finally, for those of you who may have enjoyed Mark Millar's Wanted, but are afraid of the movie adaptation, check out Millar's latest word on the film at his Miller World forum. Quote, "Talking to Timur and his vision for the adaptation was literally mind-blowing. He had a ton of previs and early effects work, and I shit you not, I almost had tears in my eyes. My jaw still hurts from dropping." Unquote. We'll still reserve our judgment until we see it up on the 30-foot screen. Aardwolf Publishing will release the Uncanny Dave Cockrum hardcover in February. The Prestige edition will include all of the articles and art tributes originally collected in the sold-out edition from 2004. The new edition will have new artist tributes and over 20 pages of never-before-seen Cockrum art. 226 special editions will include original Cockrum drawings bound into the book, making them absolutely unique. For more information, visit aardwolfpublishing.com. Archie, Betty, and yes, that voluptuous Veronica are getting a makeover. Drawn by artist Stephen Butler, the whole Riverdale gang will be getting an update, both in art style and fashions. Moving away from the classic traditional comics look that has been the Archie style for more than 60 years. May's Betty and Veronica Double Digest number 151 will see the gang drawn in a more realistic style, with longer serialized stories. Archie Comics has recently been experimenting with contemporary art style with Sabrina, which adapted a manga style drawn by Tanya Del Rio. The new Archie look will run in issues number 151 to 154 in 25-page increments. Time will tell if the new style is here to stay, but here's something to think about. You can get Archie comics at just about every grocery store in the country. More people read Archie than superheroes. Wrap your jughead around that. Acknowledged master of modern horror, Stephen King has been announced as a guest of honor at the New York Comic Con. King will join a special panel hosted by Joe Quesada on Saturday, February 24th to discuss the new comic series adapted from his Dark Tower series of books. But if you can't wait until then, King talked to USA Today, where he explained that he had a lot of involvement in setting the course for where the story should go and suggested the series should follow lead character Roland's young adult life. Marvel has stated that the series will be drawn before the first issue is released in February, so there should be no Civil War-type delays. According to Marvel publisher Dan Buckley, The Dark Tower, The Gunslinger Reborn, has the potential of being the biggest project in the comics industry in the last 20 years. Hey, with any luck, maybe we'll get an interview at the con.
Yeah, right.
Oh, sweet deception. Cross-Gen fans, take note. Checker Book Publishing will be collecting Cross-Gen comics into trade format. Checker has announced a licensing agreement with Walt Disney Publishing, who bought the rights to the entire Cross-Gen catalog after the Intrepid publisher crashed a few years ago. Checker will release the uncollected issues of Sojourn, Negation, Way of the Rat, Sigil, The Path, and Scion. The books will be introduced in a series of monthly preview solicitations, beginning with items shipping in February. So that's it for the news this week. I'll see you later in the episode with my reviews.
How are you? This Mike,
And I'm Jen.
here for Variant Editions Statue and Toy Review.
Holiday statue and toy review.
Yes, this here Christmas week episode. Okay, this week we're going to look at this here Sonny from the movie iRobot.
And he's just not Sonny. He's the NS5
Yes.
Sonny.
Yes.
iRobot.
He is made by, who is he made by there?
I don't know. Oh, it says Pop Box Collectibles.
It's must be a newer company because I haven't heard of them before. Well, that doesn't mean they're newer, but he's nice.
He's very nice.
He's a half-scale bust. He's the main white parts, like his outer shell, are done out of like a styrene plastic, and towards the back, it's really nice because they're like fogged. The whole thing is in the front, and it gets transparent to the back. It also has white metal parts on it, which are really nice and like chromed.
Yes, very nicely chromed.
It's got the like synthetic muscle bundles, which you could see are real textured and detailed. He's really nice. He's got a motion sensor on him.
Are you sure it's not a motion sensor? Is it the clapper?
I mean, it might be the clapper. We'll get sued, though, for using the clapper, so we'll go motion sensor. And it lights up his positronic brain blue.
It's a nice blue, too. It's
It
a very
is.
electric blue.
The back of his head comes off, is a removable hatch, so you could actually like look into the blue positronic brain.
Which is very cool, but
Yes.
take a look at the side picture of this box. Isn't that cool?
They show what the sculpture of his robotic skeleton looks like under his front of his face, which is very
It's
cool looking.
really nice.
And the front of his face doesn't come off on the production piece, which, well,
It's a
what are
little
you going to do?
disappointing. It's a little disappointing.
I mean,
But
when
it's
I
nice.
first saw the design before the movie came out, I thought they looked a little plain. And I guess if you're not real into the character and you just look at it head on, it's a little plain. But if you see it from the side or the back, where you can really see the detail and the like roboticness of the neck, the muscle tendons, and the positronic
nice,
brain and
yeah.
robotics through the back where the head gets translucent, it's amazing
It's
looking.
very nice.
It's got a nice little tiny like a strip that's engraved on the back that tells you his number. They're limited to 3,000, and his eyes are quite
Yeah, I
nice
was just
too.
going to mention the eyes. They're really nice looking,
Yeah.
too. They're very nicely done.
I mean, if you're a fan of the movie, it's definitely worth
Mm-hmm.
looking into. Because if you're a fan of the movie or you like the design, even you don't care about the movie, he's really neatly done.
Yes, he's a nice robot.
The more you look at him, the more little things you see on him. Very cool piece.
And when he lights up blue.
Yeah,
It's
and
very nice.
how many statues light up blue for you? All right, so I guess that's it for this week. Everybody have a safe and happy, joyous holiday.
And a Happy New Year.
Yeah. And if you can, drink a little bit for the holidays. That helps all cheer, you know? Take care.
Take care.
So this week I took a look at bullet points number 2, and I've got to say I am loving every minute of this series. Issue 1 set up for a lot. It kind of shows you that Iron Man is, well, Captain America that we know is actually going to be Iron Man, and they haven't really gotten into what's going on with Tony Stark yet. And then you kind of find out that Reed Richards was his mechanic. Anyway, in this part you find out Peter Parker, did get hit by the gamma bomb, and now he's the Hulk, only he doesn't realize the Hulk. And of course, what happens when you give a whiny teenager superpowers such as the Hulk? Well, he gets mad, really angry after somebody trips him, causes a lot of ruckus, and runs away from home. And then you also find out what's going on with the, Steve Rogers and the Iron Man suit. It's a big museum. He's a national hero. And Reed Richards wants to go to space with his wife, Sue, and her brother, and Ben. Well, as it turns out, they're preparing to go into space, and the last frame is somebody putting a bomb on board the space shuttle. I'm assuming this is Victor Von Doom or some other sort of radical person who's going to blow it up and cause the big catastrophe that's going to happen when the cosmic rays hit the Fantastic Four, or what should be the Fantastic Four, or maybe they'll just die and there won't be any Fantastic Four. So, like, no Fantastic Four, Von Doom rises to power, maybe? I don't know. Can't wait to see what's going on. If you guys haven't picked up this book yet, I highly suggest you do.
Exterminators issue 12. Once again, it's straying from the chaos of, cockroach infestation and swarms and that one character being like a reincarnated, like, ancient Egyptian god who controlled bugs and stuff. It's branching out from that, and we're finding more about Saloth, or Sayloth, or however you would pronounce his name. Which is good. I mean, it kind of shows, there's that story that's still going on, but it's going to take a while for that to, like, peek back up into anything that's happening. So this is kind of what's going on more. But I miss the Bug Be Gone guys. Creepy scientist on a date with a fat chick constantly. That's good and all. But I miss the Bug Be Gone guys. I miss Slim in his Buddhist ways. But that's just me. So anyway, in this issue, not only do you get more in-depth backstory on Saloth, or whatever, but you get another awesome issue of Mike Hawthorne's art for Exterminators. Like I said, for his previous issue that did the art, it's a very nice transfer from Tony Moore to this. It flows well, and once again, this issue, he does a very, very well done job. So, with Saloth, you find out that he was a lot more involved with what happened in his past in Vietnam than what he led the readers and his date to believe. He was more of a doctor who was kind of using this rebellious group. They were like the Resistance, and they had their own things. They did like torture methods on people, and they were like, "Oh, doctor, I beat this man unconscious, fix him so we can keep asking him questions." He wasn't really working for them. He was using them so that he can still conduct his bug work while they did whatever. He didn't care what they did. They didn't care what he did. But he did some pretty messed up things, and they show a nice little scene where he's taking bugs on top of a cadaver, shoving a glass on top of it so they got nowhere to go but eat their ways out. It's nice to see, I'm going to make these bugs eat dead flesh. Nice prelude to what's going to happen from this character. And another thing that they go into is that whole zap thing that he did with the squirrel, where you put the squirrel in the container and zaps it, makes it this edible ash. He keeps doing that. This time with the kitten. I can't really agree with that, but so he's got some big plans for this. Where they want to go with that, I don't really know. It just seems like he gets down in the dumps. I'll go to the basement, zap a small animal into ash. Makes my day better. So that's pretty much it for this issue. Just finding out Saloth has a very dark past. It doesn't seem like he cares about anybody, not even himself. All he cares about is his work. And how that's going to affect Bug Be Gone and the rest of the characters when more of these roach plagues break out, that's what I'm waiting to see. So keep reading.
Alright guys, next review for this week was issue 41 of Teen Titans. Now, a major story arc just came to its conclusion. You've seen bits and pieces of it since day one, since Jeff Johns started the book, and everything's just come to a head right now. With the traitor being revealed to be Bombshell, not Miss Martian, and Jericho, a former Titan way back from the 80s, has been resurrected by Raven. Now, the cool thing about this is that you got two very interesting, unique characters like Jericho and his sister, but the weird thing is their father is Slade Wilson, Deathstroke. Kind of weird. Greatest adversary of the Titans. So it's really cool, though, the dynamics between the teams so far. And the funny thing about it, too, is that when you think about it, Raven's really afraid of Kid Devil because he bears a striking resemblance to Trigon, her father. And we have yet to see where that goes because she drops a line saying that he looks really disturbed on the inside. So that's going to be really interesting to see where that develops. Other than that, a lot of action in this issue. Really good stuff. All the ulterior motives have been brought to light. And we see who actually orchestrated the whole thing as to who hired Bombshell. And this was actually planned out by Slade Wilson, that he wanted both his kids back. One of them, obviously Jericho, back resurrected, and he wants to bring him to his side because he's actually forming his own group and band of Teen Titans called Titans East, who I'm not going to say who's on the team yet. You can just go figure it out for yourself, but an interesting counterpart to everybody who's on the team. So for a Kid Flash, there's somebody fast on there. For a Superboy, there's somebody fast, somebody strong on there. It's going to be really good. The next year, Titans is going to be really great. I highly recommend this book. The art, really good. They had to split up the duty between two pencilers, which I kind of don't like. But if you see lately DC has been really struggling on their team books. Outsiders, Titans, even some of the solo books, Firestorm, have dual pencils on them. I don't know what's going on with the scheduling or whatever, but things need to pick up because I'm so used to one artist and loving that style, and then having it flipped to two different kinds of styling and inking in one issue of a character. It's really disorienting. But other than that, it's a great read, great book, highly recommended.
Well, it's holiday time here at Variant Edition, and we think that everybody on the show deserves a gift. However, there's one person on the show who really deserves a gift. Someone, our old friend, if you will, from the motherland. Someone who has been there for us and done many, many things. Call me Batman. Welcome to the show, Call Me Batman. It's great to have you again.
Thanks for having me on show.
Got you a little something here, and I hope you really enjoy it.
I'm very happy to be here. Is vodka in bag for the Batman? Ooh, what? This is not my doppelganger.
That's why you lost the Cold War.
All right, tonight I have something a little bit different. I've got the Big Book of Horror. This is written by Steve Niles, and it's got 3 different but wonderful retellings of Frankenstein, Dracula, and War of the Worlds. Now, we all know who Steve Niles is, written 30 Days of Night, and, of course, a whole lot of other cool stuff. But here he's got this kind of children's book retelling of these 3 classic stories. And they're all illustrated by 3 different artists. I'm sorry, I can't remember the names of them. Maybe Kev will remember to flash the names up underneath me so you can at least see who they are. But wonderful styles. You've got kind of, this kind of geometric paper cutout telling of Frankenstein. Everything's all kind of stitched together like a blanket. The War of the Worlds one, that's a mouthful. The War of the Worlds one is really fabulous. The walkers are looking great. The artwork is stunning. It's like, this kind of 50s style to it, but still looks like a children's book. And Dracula, guy looks like Max Schreck from that vampire movie.
Shadow of the Bat.
Shadow of the Bat. Shadow of the Vampire. It's got this kind of great kind of Shadow of the Vampire kind of look. At the same time, it's a children's book. So if you want to read it to your kids, you can give it to them for Christmas and have them read it. And they're great, wonderful retellings of these 3 great stories. So if you're looking for something cool to read, check this one out.
So this isn't really my forte, but, Amazing Spider-Girl. It's got a spider in the title. I'll give it a shot because I'm a big Spider-Man fan. For those of you not familiar with Spider-Girl, she is Peter Parker's daughter. If he had given up being Spider-Man, lived with Mary Jane, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, this is, Mary Jane, or not Mary Jane. This is May Day Parker, and she is the new Spider-Girl. Only her dad doesn't want her to be Spider-Girl. She told her father, I'm not going to do it anymore. It's too dangerous. I understand. And this all kind of came around because, she fought and dealt with one of her dad's old villains who kind of came out of retirement. I didn't read before this, so I'm just picking up as it is. I'm guessing it's the Hobgoblin because he's who she's dealing with in this one. It's interesting. It's not my focused point. It's not for me, but I think it's a good way to get girls into comics by changing the shift the character spotlight onto a girl getting powers. I think what they're doing is good here. It just doesn't appeal to me. She deals with a frost-based character, an ice-powered-based villain who gets defeated by, I think, hot air, but not really defeated yet. And apparently this girl had problems and ran away from home because of her druggy boyfriend who beat her. All that wrapped up into one comic. So if you're a teenage girl who's dealing with issues like this, you might want to pick this book up and get yourself some spider powers.
All right, guys, here for the next book, we have Annihilation issue 4. Now, I know it's been a while since we reviewed a book from the Annihilation or any of the solo books. I know Mike kind of gave it a really bad review for the first one. From the first issue, which was really disheartening because you saw something that no one could ever imagine happen. But obviously, as how things work in the Marvel Universe, it's not what it seemed. Galactus is not so very alive, but in a state where he is alive, but being used for the wrong purpose. There's so much going on in the series that if you did read, all the solo minis leading into this, you got a good idea what's going on. If you don't, you still have an okay idea, but they reference a lot of stuff that would happen in the Nova mini, the Super Skrull mini, and all that other stuff. So, just a quick rundown of what's happened so far. Galactus captured, Super Skrull died, Super Skrull came back to life. Nova has taken on the all power of the Nova Corps. He is like the whole force himself. Drax's Destroyer, hell-bent on killing Thanos for past deeds done. You gotta definitely do your homework on that one. Moondragon being kidnapped by Thanos to lead out Drax. Thanos having ulterior motives, of course, using Annihilus to gain his own kind of, means to an end during the whole Annihilation wave. And then Annihilus is true, intention really comes to light as to not just wiping out, Earth and any other world surrounding his, moving into the negative zone, but just entire universes. So it's just him and the universe. So it's really gone like on a really big picture scale when it comes to, story, plots, subplots. The story's really good so far. Galactus has been turned into this weird cosmic weapon where he still eats and feeds on worlds, but instead of it going into his body, Thanos has figured out some kind of technology where all the cosmic power that's taken from a world is diverted into him a little bit just to keep him alive, to keep the feeding process going, but it's stored away in Annihilus's like little bank of like energy. So Annihilus can become like the supreme being. The book is taking a really interesting turn. You've seen Nornrad, the Silver Surfer, come back and take his duty again as a Herald of Galactus and given another surge of power. So you see him evolve a little bit more, but he's also captured with Galactus. The remaining heralds and former heralds of Galactus are all dead, or on their last legs fighting it out. And there's also an interesting reference to Civil War in the past issue of Annihilation 4, where Nova is ready to send this message to Reed Richards about asking for help and how he has a gateway to Negative Zone where they can get like an advantage of starting a counterattack, but it just won't work because, obviously things in the Marvel Universe aren't so good because everybody's in the middle of the Civil War, and so Annihilation, Civil War, nothing, nobody can help anybody right now. Everything's down the middle when it comes to space-wise Marvel Universe and, ground-wise Marvel Universe. So the book is really good. The art is really interesting. It's the way it's being colored and everything. I like the artist a lot. The story's really good. I can't wait to see where this is going. I left out a couple of spoilers, which is, some pretty big spoilers too. One really big one. So I'd highly recommend this book. If you're a little behind, catch up. Or if you want to just jump on now, jump on now. It's getting really good.
All right, so I had a chance to read Superman Confidential #2. I really enjoyed #1, although it was sort of the, first issue getting started kind of thing. And the big thing about that was there's a big chunk of kryptonite, and kryptonite's kind of narrating itself, and Superman's, kind of feeling very vulnerable and worried about his vulnerabilities. Second issue picks right up from there, except the narration part of the kryptonite, I'm thinking that it's something inside the kryptonite. I have an idea that it's probably Brainiac, because at one point he says long dormant sensors are turning on. And he has this really interesting moment where he's apparently in a, like a Chinese monastery, and he's finding Zen, and he likes the Zen. And it's basically because he can't do anything and he's stuck there. But it's kind of interesting. And if it is Brainiac, it'll be an interesting spin on the character, that he doesn't always have to be destructive and evil. But getting back to the crux of the story, it's really about Superman finding vulnerabilities in himself. The entire world thinks that Superman is this big, indestructible... he's Superman, for God's sakes, right? But Superman doesn't know his limits yet. This is still early in his career. And he keeps worrying that he's going to have limits. And in this one, he actually finds one of his limits. He has the typical Superman conundrum. He's got a date with Lois, but there's this volcanic eruption and it's about to destroy this island, and there's people that can't be saved. So, what does the good man do? Does the good man save the people or keep his date with Lois? Of course, he goes and he saves the people. And he snatches up some islanders and decides, I'm going to stop the lava, and he's going to do this typical Superman thing and make the, grooves for the lava to go so it goes away from the people. We kind of seen it all before. Turn a page, he digs down, finds another vein of lava. Oh, it's getting worse. Digs down, finds another vein of lava. It's like, okay, I'm going to dig some holes into the bedrock of the island. More lava. And then he's trapped. And he's scared. And he can't breathe. And there's like this real palpable fear. It's pretty interesting. Needless to say, he gets out of it, and he's really shocked by his reaction. And there's this great scene where he opens the door, he goes to his parents' house, opens the door, and there's like this really sheepish look on his face. And it says more than any script could. Amazing, amazing stuff. The B story is Lois and the casino mogul. So there's some movement there, and you see exactly how smooth Lois is. And I don't know, that seems like it might not be such the lame story that I was kind of expecting that part of it to be. It definitely seems like we're going to kind of grow Lois as a character a little bit. But this definitely gives a new spin on, everybody sees Superman as this big, all-powerful Boy Scout, and I've never seen him quite vulnerable like he is in this, and I want to see more.
And today I am excited because X-23 is back in our own series. X-23 Target X number 1 comes out this week, or came out last week. I forgot. And I was really excited to read this book. Lots of things happen in this book. It picks up where the old X-23 series left off. You know, she just escaped. She just lost her mom, and they kind of pick it up from there, and it kind of shows you from her point of view, because what they're doing is interrogating her in the beginning. She's been captured by what I'm assuming is S.H.I.E.L.D. or AIM or Hydra, probably S.H.I.E.L.D. because of the character who's in the end of the book, and I'll get to that later. But first, let's focus on X-23. She just, accidentally killed her mother because of the triggering scent formula thing from X-23, and she's now all alone, and she is dealing with agents who have now moved in to take her out, which she does very fast and very effectively. Then she deals with Kimura. Again, Kimura, for those of you who may have caught that name on New X-Men, well, here she is again, and I think this is a much better version of her thus far. Cleverly defeats her with the clever use of a gun, not shooting her, but causing an avalanche. This is just a story that's going to keep picking up and keep moving. Now, back to that guy who I mentioned in the beginning. Yeah, turns out one of the guys who's interrogating her is Captain America. How does that happen? I mean, it's obviously S.H.I.E.L.D. who's picked her up now and knows about Weapon X, or maybe funded Weapon X and maybe caused her to be born. Who knows? Can't wait to see where they're going with this story. And of course, it also is great because you're seeing it from another character's point of view, from X-23. If you remember the little girl, her cousin, who she rescued from that guy who abducted her, yeah, she's dealing with it. Very interesting. I think you guys should take a look at this book and definitely pick it up if you're interested in newer characters.
So to all you naysayers out there have been complaining that all I do is read zombie comics, I got some Superman for you. Actually, Action Comics 844 and 845, which was a good read. I mean, normally I'm not into like the whole superhero comics. I do Batman because he's, dark and kind of emo, but whatever. Superman's not really my bag, but this story was nice. It's a little story about a Kryptonian boy who ends up on Earth, and Superman's like, holy crap, there's one more person from Krypton. How many ships, could be coming in? And he's freaking out because he doesn't like the fact that this kid lands in this spaceship, and now the government takes him in and takes him to like their metahuman research centers, and they want to run tests on him because that's what the government does. And Superman doesn't like that fact. He liked the fact that when he came to Earth, he crash landed, and he was glad that he was found by the Kents, that he wasn't, kept under a microscope for like 20 years of his life, that he got to live a life as a normal human person. So he's formed somewhat of a father relation with this kid, where he really sympathizes for him because it's just like, you're going through all this stuff that I never had to, and you shouldn't either. So he's kind of fighting for his right, which was funny at points. He's talking to Lois about trying to adopt him, and Lois is like, everybody's gonna, know who this kid is. What are we gonna do? Give him a pair of glasses? And Clark's like, yeah, it works. Comic book world. So anyway, Superman kidnaps this kid, but not as Superman. He does it in a way that you couldn't tell that it was Superman. It looked like somebody just hijacked him by blowing up the car the kid was in and taking him out, being masked and all that. So Superman steals him, adopts him, and is kind of keeping him from the rest of the world because he doesn't want them to keep prying into it. To find out in 845 that apparently Zod's showing up in this. I guess Richard Donner definitely had something with that, because at the end of the issue you find out that Zod, some chick who's kind of like the chick from Superman 2, and a big dumb brute who's kind of like from Superman 2, show up and say, oh, our son was a good decoy or some crap like that. They're going to lead us to the son of Jor-El. So apparently the little kid that Superman adopted is their son, and Superman's going to have to fight them. I honestly don't know where I'm going with this, but all I got to say is, if you like Zod, pick these up. They're going to be full of them.
So that's our big Christmas episode for you guys.
It was a pretty good episode. There's a lot of good stuff in there. We had to pack in as much as before, the end of the year, and we'll start off next year, a lot of big things coming up. New York Con, all kinds of stuff, so, we're really looking forward to that.
Exactly, and you can hit us up as per usual, Mike at variantedition.com, Kevin at variantedition.com, Nick at variantedition.com. If you want to talk to Mr. Swistek about some statues at variantedition.com. You can check us out on YouTube, you can check us out on MySpace, you can also check us out at our website, variantedition.com. Or you can subscribe to us at iTunes. So next episode is a huge episode. It's all interviews.
Yeah, a big interview special. I got a couple interviews in there with some of the cool guys at the con. Guy, Ian Dorian, It's just a lot of good stuff in there. If you want to get behind the scenes at a con, how it goes, rapping to your favorite artists and writers, definitely something you want to tune into. A lot of fun.
Exactly, and we're doing it as a big interview episode because, well, we have to, because guess what? We've got even more stuff coming up in the future that is just booking us left and right, so now we have to get all these interviews out to make way for all the new stuff coming at you soon. So that's it, and have a good one.
See ya.
Happy holidays!
Happy New Year!
Yes, it's corny. It's supposed to be.
I will wave like the light bulb.
No, I was doing the thwip.
Yes, I see Kev waving, so I'm waving.
All right, that's good.